In the land of Umu-Odu, there is a saying older than the village itself. If you look for what is not looking for you, you will find what you cannot run from. Everyone quotes it when telling the story of Nneka, the woman who saw too much until the gods made sure she would never stop seeing. 3 days ago, Nneka had the sharpest eyes in the village. Not sharp like a hunter spotting a gazelle in the bush, sharp like a blade that cut through people's lives. She saw everything. If two lovers met behind the plantain grove, Nneka saw the shadows. If a woman added too much pepper to her stew to hide that the meat was stolen, Nneka tasted it. If a man returned late and told his wife he had been at the farm, Nneka counted the drops of palm wine on his breath. Her eyes were bottomless baskets for other people's stories, and her tongue was the rope that tied those stories to the village. To her, gossip wasn't a hobby, it was a sacred duty. She fed on secrets like yam porridge, morning, afternoon, and night. Her joy came not from her own life, but from the hidden corners of others. When people saw Nneka coming, they greeted her politely, yes, but they also tied their words like wrappers, tight, covering everything. Be careful, the elders warned her husband, Okoro. A woman whose eyes eat secrets will one day choke on the wrong one. Okoro would only sigh. My wife means no harm, he would say, though even he didn't believe those words anymore. But in Nneka, she only smiled. What is the use of ears, if not to hear? What is the use of eyes, if not to see? On the Tuesday that destroyed her life, the Town Crier appeared before the setting sun had fully swallowed the last orange light. He was an old man, skin loose like old cloth, voice strong like the ogene bell he carried. He struck the bell 3 times. Gome, gome, gome. People rushed out, children with sandy feet, women with hands dusted in gari, men smelling of palm oil and sweat. The spirits will walk tonight, the crier proclaimed. The great masquerade from the spirit world is passing through Umu-Odu. A terrified hush swept across the crowd. This was not an ordinary masquerade, not the kind that danced during festivals or collected money from generous villagers. This was the night masquerade, the one that belonged not to humans, but to beings who lived where the living feared to look. When the moon touched the Iroko tree, no human eye must see them. Close your doors, close your windows, extinguish your lamps. To look at them is to call death. The villagers scattered like birds fleeing fire. Mothers whispered prayers as they rushed their children home. Men nailed shutters. Crickets themselves went silent, as if even insects feared to draw attention. But in Nneka, she heard the warning and felt something else. Not fear, excitement, curiosity, a thrill that tickled her bones like palm wine fizzing in the stomach. What could be so sacred that even the brave men of Umu-Odu feared to look upon it? Her eyes gleamed, a bigger secret than anything she had ever known, and she could be the only one to witness it. The night descended like a heavy cloth. The moon rose full, round, white, watching. When its light touched the crown of the ancient Iroko tree, all fires went out, all laughter died, even the wind stopped whispering. By that time, Nneka and Okoro were in their hut. Okoro had double-bolted the door, placed 3 charms on the threshold, and lay beside his wife. Nneka, he whispered through half-sleep. "Lie down, don't move, keep your eyes closed." But Nneka's eyes were wide open. Her heart drummed a restless beat against her chest. Curiosity, addiction, pride, a deadly mixture. She waited until Okoro's breathing deepened, slow and steady, like weak waves touching the shore. Then she sat up. The hut was pitch dark. She could hear her own heartbeat and the distant rumbling drums. Each dum, dum, dum vibrated through the mud walls. It was not the drum of men. It was too deep, too ancient, too heavy, like the earth itself was speaking. Something in Nneka's spirit trembled. Something told her to stop. But Nneka's pride was louder than her fear. She moved toward the window. Each step felt heavier than the last. The air thickened, smelling of damp soil and something sulfuric, like a lit match dying in the rain. Her fingers brushed the wooden latch. A cold breeze kissed her skin. A voice, an inner voice, screamed, "Stop!" Her pride whispered louder, "Look!" She opened the window. Just a crack, just enough for one eye. At first, she saw only mist, a white, swirling fog that looked alive. Then the shapes emerged. They did not walk, they glided. Tall, impossibly tall, wrapped in ancient cloth that seemed woven from the night itself. They were faceless, no eyes, no nose, not human. They carried lanterns filled with blue fire, flames so cold that they froze the air around them. Nneka held her breath. Her heart pounded so violently she feared the spirits would hear it. But still, she looked and looked. A thrill surged through her blood. "I see them," she thought breathlessly. "I see what no one in Umu-Odu has seen and lived to speak." She imagined herself telling the other women, they were tall like palm trees. Their fire was blue. Their feet never touched the ground. Oh, she would be the queen of secrets. But then, the drumming stopped, completely. Like someone cut sound out of the world. The leading spirit, the tallest, the one whose face was a shimmering mirror, froze. Slowly, painfully, it turned its head, not toward the village, not toward the road, directly toward the crack in the window, directly toward Nneka's eye. Her breath vanished. Her body stiffened. She tried to leap back, to close the window, to scream, but she couldn't move. She was trapped, caught, locked in the gaze of something ancient and merciless. The spirit raised a finger, long, white, bone-thin. It pointed at her eye. A voice exploded in her skull, not spoken out loud, but inside her mind, so loud she felt her skull might crack. "You love to see, then you shall always see." A burst of white light, blinding, burning, shot from the spirit's finger. It hit Nneka. She flew backward. Her eyelids, they would not move, not even a tremble. She tried to blink, nothing. She tried to scream, but the only sound that came out was "ba," a goat's cry, the voice of someone who had seen the forbidden. Okoro walked to the sound of bleating. Confused, he lit the oil lamp with trembling hands. The flame illuminated his wife on the floor, her night wrapper twisted around her legs, her hair wild, her body shaking. But her eyes were wide open, too open, dry, white, unmoving, dead but alive, staring at the ceiling, unblinking, frozen in eternal terror. Okoro screamed so loudly the neighbors rushed over. They found Nneka sitting up, staring at the wall, breathing fast, her mouth opening and closing like a fish. each attempt to speech turning into goat sounds. The elders came, the dibia came, even the children peeped from behind them northern's wrappers. Everyone knew, no one needed to explain. Nneka looked at the night masquerade, an elder whispered. A silence, heavy and cold, settled over the crowd. She wanted to see everything, another said. Now she will see everything forever. Days passed. Nneka couldn't sleep. Her eyes refused to close, no matter how tired she was, no matter how much they burned. She could not even cry. Tears dried before they formed. People walked past her carefully, avoiding her gaze. Some pitied her. Some feared her. Some used her as a warning to their children. Don't poke your nose where it doesn't belong unless you want Nneka's eyes. Nneka saw everything that happened in the village. Every passing person, every whispered insult, every stolen coin, every drunken argument, every secret conversation. She heard them too. Her ears had grown unnaturally sharp. The curse ensured that even when she did not want to hear, she heard. Every night, she sat by the window, staring at the road. She could not move far. Her body had weakened from exhaustion. And every night, she prayed for darkness, for silence, for blindness. But the gods did not listen. Because this was not punishment, this was transformation. She had become a caution, a living proverb, a monument to consequences. A woman turned into the silence of the gods. The elders met. Umu-Odu was a village bound by tradition. When the gods acted, the people responded with ritual. "What do we do with her?" one asked. "Her sight is dangerous," said another. "She sees beyond men, she hears what is not meant for human ears." They debated for hours, some urging mercy, others calling for exile. But then the oldest elder, Mama Uju, the woman whose memory stretched back to when the Iroko tree was still young, spoke. "In every generation, one person must cross a boundary. One person must remind us why boundaries exist." She looked toward Nneka's hut. "She is no longer one of us, but she is also not dead. She belongs to the threshold now, to the space between our world and the spirits." The elders agreed. Nneka would remain in the village, not as a villager, but as a warning, a living story, a reminder written in flesh. Weeks passed. One evening, a young girl, barely 12, walked to Nneka's hut. Her name was Ima. She had heard stories about the cursed woman, but curiosity tugged at her small heart. She approached the window where Nneka sat. Nneka's eyes, wide, unblinking, shifted slightly toward her. Ima flinched, but then she saw something else. Behind the dryness, behind the terror, behind the frozen stare, there was pain. Human pain. The pain of someone who desperately wanted to speak, but could only bleat like a goat. Ima stepped closer. "Nneka, can you hear me?" A soft bleat answered. "Mba." Ima swallowed, tears forming. She reached out and touched Nneka's hand. Nneka shivered, her first voluntary movement in days. The girl whispered, "I'm sorry they left you like this." To everyone's shock, Nneka blinked. For the first time since the curse, one single painful blink forced by a tear that had fought its way out. But as soon as the tear fell, her eyelids stuck open again. Rigidity returned. The curse tightened its grip. Ima ran away crying. The villagers saw her tears and knew A child had learned the lesson that Nneka never did. Years went by. Nneka remained at the window, unmoving, watching, listening. People grew. Children became adults. Adults became elders. But Nneka remained unchanged, frozen in the same terrible moment. Some nights, villagers claimed they saw a tall figure wrapped in ancient cloth standing at the edge of the village, watching her, waiting. Perhaps the spirits would reclaim her one day. Perhaps they already had. To this day, when the moon rises full over the Iroko tree and a breeze brings the faint sound of distant drumming, the elders whisper, "Some doors are closed for a reason. Some windows are locked for your safety. Never let your curiosity cost you your peace." And if a child asks why, they point to the abandoned hut at the edge of the village, where a woman still sits, eyes wide open, sleepless, speechless, forever watching, forever hearing, forever reminding.